Hey, salespreneurs. I'm excited for you to tune in to my conversation with Zach Timmerman. Zach is a 10-year door-to-door sales veteran. He got started in solar and security sales back before it was cool and ended up using those skills to open his own insurance agency here in Utah. In this podcast, you're going to hear everything about how he met Arnold Schwarzenegger to his first cold call pitch, knocking doors in the winter of Utah. Zach's experience is inspiring because it seems so natural. He doesn't act like he has anyone to impress but himself. Zach's a doer, and that's why I had him on the podcast. Right? Like,
Yeah.
I think you see these stories um, on LinkedIn or on social media that make it seem like you have to be this super savvy person, super successful to go run a business, and but you can, but you don't have to be perfect. Like, you can just be a hardworking salesperson and get into this, which is why I thought it'd be cool to have you on.
Thank you.
Um, But yeah, maybe I'd love to like just let you introduce yourself and like what your background is and everything.
Okay. So, Zach Timmerman. I'm from Oregon and I grew up in a rural part of Oregon on the coast, Astoria, Oregon. If anybody's ever seen the movie The Goonies, that's
You grew up
Astoria.
in Astoria.
Yeah. The oldest town west of the Mississippi, I believe. That's kind of what everybody tells one another out there. Yeah, the Truffle Shuffle, um, Goonies. There's actually a lot of movies like Kindergarten Cop was filmed out there. I was a kindergartner that year, so I saw Arnold Schwarzenegger. Short Circuit was filmed out there. So it's kind of like it's an old town, logging, fishing. Those are the industries out there. And my family had a tree farm, a holly farm, and we made and sold Christmas greenery. So like wreaths, garlands, very unordinary business to have. There's not a lot of those. So that, my dad, he owned his own business with his sister. And so I got to grow up, I guess, in a family business. And so I got to see, you know, the good and the bad that comes with being a business owner. Nothing comes easy, but it did give me a lot of opportunities to start working at a younger age. And so, yeah, I was just kind of thinking back, like my door to door, first time I actually knocked doors I was probably 10 years old selling Christmas wreaths door to door.
Oh wow, your dad put you through it.
Just for some extra cash, around Christmas time. I mean, he couldn't get us out there all, every day, but I think we went out maybe, a couple days on, the weekend. And so that's where I
I,
got my first taste.
that's cool. I can relate to that. I actually grew up knocking doors to sell to do like power raking. I don't know if you know what that is. It's essentially uh it's a lawnmower, but it's got these keys that run in it, and it pulls the dead grass out
Okay.
of your yard, and you have to do it, or else like the grass dies in certain parts of the yard. Anyway, you can charge like $80 a yard, and so I would knock doors, and I would power rake people's yards in the spring, and
Mm-hmm.
then I would ask them if I could cut their grass throughout the year. So I did that, and then I also sold Christmas lighting in high school, door to
Oh,
door
serious?
too. So
Okay. Did you actually like install the Christmas lights or
yeah, I did.
did
Well,
you have
so I
an older
technically
brother?
bought the business. I technically bought the business off one of my buddies, um, and then I would go knock doors for myself and set more. I'm curious if you could kind of tell me like how did you when you were wrapping up in sales, like what kind of drew you to the moment where you were like getting ready to exit and like kind of buy your own thing? Can you kind of tell me what that experience was like?
Yeah. So like whenever you're doing direct sales, I mean, sales is just a transfer of emotion, right? So that
Yeah,
takes a lot of energy to be doing that day in and day out. And so that's why so many, sales guys sometimes you'll see new guys come in and they'll just explode, the first year. They don't even really know what the norm might be. And they may even be setting new standards. But then that excitement kind of wears down, right? And, they're probably, trying to put out the least amount of effort to get the best, biggest reward. But I mean, as far as that goes, so like security, pest, I feel like that's an emotional sale. Solar was more logical for me. So I was just like, that took less energy, because all in all, I sold solar for about 5 years, door to door, year round. If I count, New Jersey, 2 years in New York, and then, a couple years in Texas. And so I liked that more because it was logical. It made sense. I can always build a little bit of emotion. I feel like you need to do that with any product that you sell. But at the end of the day, I'm pretty logical. I when I went to school, I did finance, so I've always kind of liked numbers. And so, but what I did get tired of was starting from nothing every day, right? And anybody that's done full commission sales, you feel that. And, we know the tricks, like be consistent, keep your pipeline full. And eventually, right, you're going to get more referrals, more organic sales is what I like to call it. But you got to be in a spot for, I feel like more than 3 years for that to start trickling in. And so for me with insurance, and I feel like, there's a lot of guys out there, like you said earlier, you feel like you have to have everything perfect before you go official. So for me, my grandpa actually had an insurance agency in Oregon. And so insurance wasn't a new thought for me. Like, I'm like thinking about it. Like, I've seen a lot of guys have success in insurance. Just like, any sales job, there's going to be a lot of turnover. So obviously I've known a lot of guys that did insurance and then aren't doing it anymore. And then my dad, when he was getting his business started, he sold life insurance for 15 plus years to supplement, until his farm, was able to sustain what he needed. I mean, and he had a pretty big business. They had over 300 seasonal workers working 2 to 3 months a year. So basically making all of their income in a short, like most farms, right? You're making all of your income only in a few months. So I was more familiar with insurance, I guess, from that.
You'd done it, yeah, because you'd seen it from your grandfather. And
I'd seen people have success, and I wanted something less volatile.
Sure.
Than solar. I wanted to have more control. And so
did you buy an existing agency, or did you start from scratch?
I started from scratch. So you can't buy an agency.
True.
And if you have the funds to do that, I think honestly that is a really, really good option. What I have noticed with people that have done that, this doesn't go for everyone, but they buy the agency and then they're just kind of forced into the service. So because all that work is just demanding, people calling in, making policy changes, people moving in and, out of the house, claims, you're working through those. Whereas the people that start from scratch, they get to learn how to sell. And so, sell the insurance products. Because your first renewals aren't coming for 6 months to a year. So you can create some pretty good systems selling, and then you're learning the service aspects of the business. So, claims and making policy changes and advising on coverages and things like that.
Did did you have to take, was there any startup costs with, like, I don't know anything about insurance. Do you have to
Yeah.
like take out an SBA to like buy the rights or anything like that? Is there a vetting process?
So you do have to be licensed, whether, like if you're going to sell home or auto products, you have to have a property and casualty license. If you're going to sell life insurance, you have to have a life insurance license. Life and health insurance, that's kind of the same test. So health insurance is a big one. I feel like there's a nice market for that, and the pay is pretty good, like building it up quickly. So a lot of guys will start out in property and casualty, and then they'll kind of sometimes navigate more towards health insurance, or is kind of what I've seen, or Medicare. Medicare is very you're getting those baby boomers that are retiring, they're selling their businesses, they're needing, there's a huge need, I feel like, for Medicare. That's a big one, and the pay is very consistent, which I am still learning a lot more of. But
yeah, so you have to get licensed, you have to get all these different certifications. You start with no customers. It's probably a lot of learning curves. How did you find your first 10 customers? Like, how did you do that starting from scratch?
Yeah, I just knocked doors. That's what I was familiar with, and everybody in the insurance industry were really, nationwide, they just do phone sales, which, for me,
That's
I always
brutal.
prefer
That
face
sounds
to
so
face.
brutal.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, it's pretty brutal, but you figure out the learning curve pretty quickly, just like any sales job, how to get people interested and engaged. And
Do you remember like the first person that you sold in door to door of your insurance?
yeah, I was in Saratoga Springs. I was just knocking. It was actually in the wintertime, so there was probably a little bit of snow around, which doesn't bother me. I honestly prefer it cold out or something like that, because then it's not saturated on the doors. Like in the summertime, you got the pest guy rolling around 2 o'clock, and then here comes the security guy an hour and a half later, and then the next service, just a lot of door to door. But in the wintertime, no one's out, and so I think that was an advantage for me. Or I can kind of remember a few of the homes, but yeah, I kept it really simple. My pitch, like I had to build a pitch when I started satellite security.
What was your, now I'm curious, like, were you just like, hey, my name's Zach, I'm starting an insurance agency?
Yeah, let's see. So I haven't knocked doors in a couple years, but my first year, that's all I did was just knock doors. And my office manager, she's awesome. She just was at home, and I would send her the information. She would do the quote, and then I'd roll back, if it was competitive. And so I think my pitch was something like, let's see. Knock, knock. Hey, Mr. Homeowner. Know you're busy. 2 quick questions for you. I don't need, see if you're even a good fit. You probably, have seen me in the neighborhood, whatever that first line pitch is. So I just, hey, 2 quick questions for you, Mr. Homeowner. One, are you paying over $120 for your auto insurance? Yeah. Okay. And do you know which carrier that's with? Yes, nationwide. Great. And how much are you paying? And then I kind of sneak in that third question, like 2 questions. People, this guy's not going to take my time. So I wanted to say, hey, I just got 2 really quick questions for you. I'm really busy. I can only do a few quotes for the neighborhood today, but the quotes that are good fit, the homeowners that are good fits, I've been able to save them easily anywhere from $300 to $400. Some folks even upwards to $1,000. So Again, I'm only going to quote you if you're a good fit. 2 quick questions to see if that's even the case. 1, are you paying over $120 a month for your auto insurance? Yes. Great. Do you know who your auto insurance is with? Geico. Great. And how much is Geico charging you a month right now? And so I kind of got an idea of how much, the quotes were going to be. And if it was way cheap, I'm not going to waste my time or my office manager's time to quote that. So I'm going to say, hey, appreciate your time. Probably not going to be a good fit right now, but here's my card. If you got questions, something.
You have a good rate.
Yeah.
Congrats. You have a great rate.
Yeah. Hey, honestly, we'd probably come in around the same. I was just kind of moving on, right? Like I was just qualifying people quickly. And that's what I found you really have to do in a competitive market. Like you have to qualify quickly so you're not wasting your time. So that's what I loved about selling in the Northeast is those guys.
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
They're not going to
York.
Yeah.
Yeah.
New
You can't
York,
BS with them.
I loved how direct people were. And so I got very good at qualifying and just engaging them. Hey, I'm going to earn 10 seconds. And then after I do that, I'm going to earn.
Then I'm going to steal the extra 30, the
yeah,
60.
You know the game. Versus when I went to Texas, it was just like, people would lead you on for an hour. Like, hey man, well, you're a really good guy. I got to get running. I got some errands to do. Like, wait, what is, I completely misread that situation. And, but so if it did kind of fit the range, then my line was awesome. Hey, if it comes back to where I'm saving you X amount, I'll circle back in about 30 minutes. So when I came back in 30 minutes, it was like, wow, he's only coming back because it's good news. Hey, if it's not competitive, I'll just shoot you a quick text so I don't waste your time. And then reach out if you have any questions in the future, something comes up, right? So I'm just like, I'm moving through people pretty quickly. And that helped a lot.
In pest control, if I got like 3 a day, that was like steady. I would just be like 3 a day, I'm good. But you're starting your own business. You're starting from scratch. You're starting from zero.
Yeah.
How many would you try to get a day doing that?
So,
like even just one? Is one good? Or
yeah, no, that's so like in this business, you're probably like, and this changes, right? Every year, I'd say, especially since COVID, things have they're all over the place. But, I would always shoot for, I could have quoted a lot of people, right? But I'm qualifying. I'm not trying to quote every home because I'll just get burnt out. But I always felt like I could put in 2 solid hours on the door, right? 2 solid good energy hours. Yeah. And then I'd take a break and then I'd come back and do 2, sometimes 3 if I'm rolling, but I would never go over like 5 hours in a day, really. And then that just kind of kept going down as business came in and I got a little bit more busy that way. But so for me, like I do remember the numbers a little bit. I think it was like I would average like 2 good quotes, like qualified an hour is for me. So, or maybe that was every 30 minutes. It really depends on the neighborhood. As far
that's pretty efficient.
Yeah, but you're plugging away out there, and yeah, so that's how I started it.
And so you've been going for 2 years. Like you have an office manager. I think you have some staff too, right?
Yeah. I have another part-time staff comes in, just a few days a week. My first year I was really ramping up. It's because the insurance companies, they pay you. They call it like they supplement your income more. They're bonusing if you hit certain metrics. You can max out your bonus, which I did every quarter. For the first 2 years, I maxed it out every year, and then the third year, I think they go like A, B, C. In my third year, I got to like I maxed it out 1 quarter, and then the other 3 quarters I just hit the B mark, which was still all right.
So how do you know, like, what's the difference between a good insurance agency and like a mediocre, or maybe just a more middle of the road agency?
Yeah, so great question. Every insurance company is different, like the carrier. Like, obviously, I'm a farmer's insurance agent. Um, every carrier is going to have a different appetite for who gets the best rates. Okay,
Hmm.
like with farmers, there's, you have kind of related to credit scores. Maybe, I mean, every company I feel like has some type of rating for preferred clients, but farmers is you got preferred, then you have your standard, then you have your non-standard, and then if you don't meet those, you're considered substandard. And the rates just kind of fall in line. One of the big reasons why I chose to work for farmers, well, two reasons. I had a buddy that kind of got me into the farmers world, I should say. He had done life insurance for, shoot, I could be wrong here, but at least 5, 7, 8 years. And then we worked together in New York. And he left solar and got into farmers insurance. And so when I came back to Utah, I worked a little bit with him. And so he was really familiar, you know, with the industry already. And farmers offers one of the most products of any carrier. Farmers insurance is owned by, Zurich, which is a huge worldwide bank, and they have the funds to help farmers grow. So they offer a wide range of products, you know, business products, live products. And what farmers did recently was they purchased one of the largest independent agencies in the country. And so that opens the doors for a lot of things that may not fit in the farmer's box. We can go out into the
You have a lot of options that you can work with.
open market. Yeah. I mean, for business, yes. Auto, they are just starting it. So like I can quote out with Safeco products, Travelers, and Farmers is they're piloting some other states right now to where they, if it doesn't fit in the farmer's box, they want to, it's a captive agency, but they're like the least captive of the insurance market, if
Yeah.
if that makes sense. So they're wanting to add more carriers to this craft lake, which I might be getting too much into the weeds here, but
Well, no, I'm curious because like, so they have a lot of options, and I know you said at the beginning that there's a lot of different types that you can sell, whether it's health, auto, home. I know you wrap them all in, but you also have businesses that you can sell to. Uh, is there a specific niche that you stick within, or do you mostly like working with individuals and homes? Um,
yeah. So I mean, I focused more on personal lines, so auto and home. The first year, when I had office full filled of sales reps, they were paying me way more an account, so I could afford to staff that. And then I focus more on life insurance. And so that's a much bigger focus for me, is like life insurance now, as well as business insurance. Those are my main focuses right now. So I'm not like buying leads. Like for the first 3 years, I just bought leads too. I didn't even
mhm.
get into that. So I did the door to door, but then I'd also purchase you know, they're called internet leads. And if you've ever clicked on a Facebook ad or an online pop up ad, that says, "Hey, we can, save you money," all those leads just get sent to.
I'm giving you my number essentially.
Yeah,
That's what.
3 agents are going to call you. You thought you were going to get a rate.
Yeah,
It's one of those.
yeah, yeah. Like when I request a rate for my house, it's the same thing. You just get a bunch of agents calling saying,
Bombarded.
"Hey, like I can save you X amount on this or whatever."
Yeah, it's and it is what it is. some people get upset with that, but it's a way to keep sales guys busy, you know.
Sure. Oh yeah.
I hired a couple, which worked really well for me. I hired a few high school kids that were just door knockers. And so I kind of took that model where they were setters. And so
Mm-hmm.
they would just get the information and then send it in the office. And then we'd have one of our licensed guys, reach out. So
Mm-hmm.
that worked really well, but it's hard to keep those high schoolers,
Motivated. Yeah.
motivated. They're usually good for a few weeks.
Yeah.
If that. But you'd kind of mentioned like what makes a good agency, like insurance, like most business, like it's service oriented. And that's one thing I really learned, growing up in a family business is if you take care of your customers, like if you do the right thing, your business is going to grow. And so,
Well, it's interesting you actually say that exact thing. The guy we had on the podcast 2 weeks ago said the same thing. And I have a friend who's starting a business, and he literally told me, he's like, I called 12 other businesses that are in this market that I want to start in, and none of them got back to him. None of them responded to his inquiries or his emails out of 11 businesses that he reached out to. And I'm like, holy cow. Like, if you can just do a good job, like get back to people, and especially in these different industries that people aren't as familiar with, like insurance. Right now, my wife and I were closing on a house for next month, and you're helping us with that. And like your office lady's been great, but even like our loan officer that or the mortgage broker we're working with is making sure that we're getting things pushed along, because we need to have that. And insurance is one of those things that when you need it, like you've got to have it taken
yeah.
care of, really, because it's people's emotions. And so um, I love that part that you said just there about making sure that you're doing right by your customers, because there's nothing more frustrating when you absolutely need a service and you get a bad experience.
Oh yeah. I mean, case in point, this past week I was at, well, I mean, I'll just say I was at Top Golf and Vineyard, and hope that's kosher, but we had a gift card to go there, right? It was one of those gift
Yeah.
cards that has like Top Golf on it and then said like Macaroni Grill. It had 6 other businesses.
Yeah.
So, I mean, we went there because I wanted to use this gift card. I've had it for months. And we go to pay, and I'm with my boys, my wife, and gave them the gift card, and they come back and said, hey, sorry, we just, our payment processor won't accept this gift card. And so, I have to put this on your, I have to give this card back to you. We just can't use it here. And my first thought is, man, that's not a consumer problem. That's a business problem. I'm like, hey, see if you can go find someone. Like, let's figure this out. Next guy comes over. Hey, sorry, yeah, we can't do this. We don't accept this card. Oh, I just said, there's who is above you? Let's get someone over here that can help us. And then another guy came over who seemed like he was kind of running the place, and he said, he was a veteran, but I just said, hey, he's like, you actually have to, go online, purchase this $50 for Top Golf, and then you can, use the card here. And I just thought, you can do that. Here's the card. Take it, process the payment. Anyway, it was like, I mean, we're talking $50. Like, as a business owner, please, anybody listening to this, you will do your business like huge favors and build and win some real customers. Like, what I feel like they should have done is like, hey, I'm sorry this isn't working. Let
me take care of it or something.
Yeah, we'll take care of it. I'll even take the $50 hit. But if you could just go online, leave us a good review, like that's going to do a lot better than, arguing over a $50 gift card. So like, I feel like more business owners, and I've seen great business owners do it, where they'll step in, solve the problem, might take a little hit. Maybe that's a meal or whatnot, but hey, if you could just, leave us a good review or tell your friends about, our business. We want to, get more business or bring more locals in here, whatever it is, right? But that social proof, he would have done that. Man, you just helped me out. Now I'm going to help you out. That's where I would go with that. So
No, yeah, I feel very similar. There's small things. I feel like it happens more with those large franchised groups sometimes where people are more disassociated with the business versus small business or even, I mean, there are big businesses that have great customer service, and those are the ones that win you back. Like, um, I feel like there's some of those that, they always pick up the phone and it feels great. Um, so yeah, I'm glad that we had you on, Zach. It's cool to hear your experience just going from sales into owning a business. Um, there's probably like 10 people listening to this podcast because it's brand new. But for the for the for like my parents at home and like the 10 other sales reps at my office that are listening to this, what kind of advice would you give them that have been in sales for 10 years and want to go own a business?
So I just think about what helped me become more successful, and I'm still grinding. I'm still figuring things out, but what saved me a lot of time was finding a mentor. And I'm sure that's been preached a lot, in the past. But for me, find something you like, something that you feel you would be good at, or you can create a competitive advantage, right? For me, I feel like I'm a pretty good people's person. I like meeting new people. I like trying to find common ground, and I like providing a good service, making people feel good. And so for me, insurance was the path. But I'm not sure if you know this, but I also have I started a window covering business back in 2020, and so I do that a little bit as well. Residential window coverings, whether that's like blinds, roller shades, shutters. Yeah. So, and that's completely referral based for me. I haven't even really put it out there, but I do that, and I've been wanting to grow that more as well. But find a
So you have two
mentor.
businesses now.
Yeah, basically the insurance agency, and then the window covering. It's called Westlake Shades. I have a
Okay.
landing page
Cool.
online.
Wow. You have real estate too, right?
I mean, I own a rental. Yeah, I own a
Okay, you have a
townhome
rental.
that I
That's
that I
great.
rent out, and yeah, I mean that's definitely a goal of mine, is to get more rental properties. I've being an insurance agent. I've developed good relationship. One of my golden goose referral partner is mortgage loan officers, and so I stayed pretty dialed in with the rates for
Yeah.
lending. And then also I've connected with a lot of realtors over the past few years. And so definitely I feel like that's a great, especially for business owners, like what's our retirement? Like we got to go,
Oh, for sure.
if we're not putting, stashing money away, taking advantage of, you know, IRAs, Roth IRAs, different investments. I feel like tangible assets are the best investment as far as real estate goes. So definitely a big goal of mine is to get more properties, to help provide somewhat of a cash flow stream throughout the years. But yeah, sorry, just going back, I kind of went on a tangent, but find a mentor. Like if someone would come up to me and say, "Hey, Zach, I want to learn insurance." Like I feel like if you're going to take a few steps forward, you got to be willing to take a few steps back. So for me, that was insurance. Like I went in and I worked for Aaron Cox. He's a outstanding insurance agent in Utah, one of the best best agents for farmers in Utah. And I worked in his office for 3 to 5 months, and I wasn't making what I could if I would have just jumped out there into the market. But I learned from him, for those 3 to 5 months. And then he's also been a resource for me over the past few years. And, I've had one sales rep, one that has become an agent, an owner. And so he's out on his own. He's been out on his own for over a year now. And when he calls me, like I genuinely, I want him to do well. Like his success, I still feel is like a reflection of me. And so when he reaches out, I'm always happy to help him out and, guide and direct him, but where I can. But yeah, I feel like a mentor is huge. And if someone would come to me and say, hey, I'd love to, work in the insurance industry, mentor me, I'm happy to do that.
That's cool. Well, if somebody's listening to this and they want to get into insurance, Zach's got your back.
Zach's got your back. That's the handle. That's what I'm trying to be put out there. Generally, I just want to be a resource for people. If they have
That's
questions,
cool.
I want to help.
Well, where can people find you if they're looking for insurance, blinds? Where can they find you?
So, really, my only social network. Facebook, Instagram. Zach's _ got your back. I got an Instagram account. I'm looking to grow that more. I'm in Lehigh on Main Street. So right now I'm just currently licensed for Utah. So
okay,
if you have insurance needs in Utah, would love to be a resource for you. If I feel like here's insurance summed up for me, okay? You just took your eyes off the road for a little bit and you ran a red light. You just caused a 3-car accident. What's your first thought? Is it, man, I'm sure glad I got the cheapest insurance I could find? Or is it, I hope I'm covered properly? And so I feel like there's a lot of misunderstanding with coverages and policies. And I genuinely want people to be covered properly so they don't get sued. Because that's what happens when you don't have enough insurance. You get sued. And when you get sued through a lawsuit, you can't file bankruptcy. That's following you until it's paid.
Oh, really? I didn't know that.
Yeah, if you're involved in a lawsuit, you can't file bankruptcy. And they'll even, if you have assets, which any lawyer, go up and down I-15, there's a lot of injury lawyers out there. They're able to, they have some tools that can really see what assets you have. And if you don't have enough to cover that lawsuit, they can garnish your wages up to, I think it's 25% of paycheck until it's paid.
Wow.
So it'll turn your life upside down if you're not insured properly.
Dang, man, I didn't even know that. But dude, thanks for being on the podcast. It's super fun to hear your story. I feel like a lot of other people can relate to it.
No, thanks for having me.